Welcome to The Drive with your automotive experts and hosts, Lauren Fix and Karl Brauer. Each week we deliver the latest breaking news, vehicle reviews, and inside look at what's happening in the automotive world. Buckle up, it's time to hit the road with The Drive.
Welcome to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. I'm Lauren Fix and my wonderful co-host, Karl Brauer.
Hey, Lauren, great to be on with you once again, talking cars. We got a lot of fun topics on this show.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been seeing you lately in California. We keep running into each other places like we have for over the last who knows how many decades. We won't count that. But we're driving some cool cars and we're getting some unique opportunities, and we want to bring those to you because sometimes we get to do some things. Well, you got to drive some very cool cars. Tell them about your interesting experience.
Yeah, I was fortunate because, you're out here on the West Coast, left coast, some call it, and you get access to a lot of the entertainment world in this neighborhood. Of course, we've had various segments on in the past with our Hollywood car expert, Josh Hancock. Well, through him, I learned that they are building a continuation series of another 25 Eleanors from the 2000 movie Gone in 60 Seconds. The idea is that this is the 25th anniversary of that movie. It came out 25 years ago. So we're going to build 25 new Eleanors, and they're going to have the same team of folks that did the original ones for the movie. So if you've been a fan of that movie and a fan of that car and watching the car world, I think there were I want to say there were 6 or 8 cars originally built. I think 2 or 4 of them survived by the end of the show. They went to various locations, various auctions, sold for a lot of money, and now they're all gone. And there's been a lot of other people trying to kind of recreate Eleanor at various stages and various qualities. But there's been no one who was associated with the original build and the original movie to build them since the original movie's original 8 cars. Those guys all got together again. And it used to be Cinema Movie Services, and it was Ray Claridge, who we're going to have an interview with in the next segment. He ran that for 40 years. And think about it, Lauren, he was running this movie car studio from the 60s through the 2000s. Think of that time frame. Think about it.
We're talking some cool cars.
Oh man, Bullet Mustangs and TV and movies. Bullet Mustangs and Dukes of Hazzard, Fall Guy, Lethal Weapon. He was listing off all the movies that he's been involved with and all the cars. And of course, Gone in 60 Seconds was a big one. So he and the original team that did the original Eleanor got back together and they built 25 more. They're building them right now, and people can get one and order one. And I drove number 1 of 25, the first one completed.
That's a rare opportunity.
Yeah, it was really cool, Lauren. And they made it just like the original movie car. Again, there's a lot of cars out there that are trying to be Eleanor, but the go baby go button on the center shifter and the tachometer mounted on the steering wheel, that's exactly like the one that was in the original movie car. And they even have, get this, they even have pieces of the original movie cars. For instance, they showed me a row of 8 hoods sitting there that had been used on various cars in the movie. And if you go and order a new Eleanor, one of these continuation ones, you go and pick which one of those hoods you want on your car.
You get to pick one of the original hoods?
Yeah, so you're not going to get the same frame. Those original 8 cars that were in the movie, they're all gone, either destroyed during the filming or with someone else. But components that were in the movie and in the original cars that were in the movie will be on your car. Hoods, cool. Fenders, that kind of thing that came off the original cars from the movie, because they always had extras and they would slap another body panel on if they needed to, something got damaged. Wow. So anyways, they let us drive Eleanor, and I'm telling you, I've driven a lot of powerful cars. My Dodge Demon 170 being a good example, 1,040 horsepower. This car makes there's different engine options. I had the supercharged engine option, most powerful, 810 horsepower in this vehicle. And remember, this car weighs maybe 3,500 pounds. Wow. So while my Demon makes 1,040 horsepower, it weighs about 4,200 pounds. This thing weighs 700 pounds less and makes 810 horsepower. If you do a power to weight,
my race car.
Yeah, I think this one's got an advantage over my Dodge Demon.
Horsepower to weight ratio, yes.
Yeah. I think it does, Lauren. And it was it's one of the most ridiculously overpowered cars I've ever driven. And the exhaust note, and oh my gosh. And so you're sitting here driving this car and you feel like you're driving a movie star. That you've got a movie star.
You are a movie star, Karl.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now you feel like a deserved movie star, famous, not infamous. But it was really fun. And it just the sounds and the acceleration, and they've done a lot of stuff, the bracing of the chassis and the Willwood four-wheel disc brakes and the supercharged engine. I think it's Dakota digital gauges, air conditioning, vintage air. So it's very comfortable, very functional as a daily driver. If you want to daily drive it, it's not like beating you up at all.
In California, not in Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's got adjustable suspension. It's got a fully adjustable front and rear suspension. So you're going to go to the track, get it stiffened up. You're going to drive it around on the road with real world potholes and imperfections, lighten it, soften it back up again. And I just had a blast driving the thing. But it's quick. I got to tell you, the guy told me, he said, watch out when you hit 3,000 RPM, because that's when the boost comes in. He's totally correct. I was like, yeah. I've been in fast cars. It was like, oh my gosh, like the thing revved. It revs at a certain speed, idle to 3, and then it's a whole nother animal from 3 to like 8. And
well, remember,
really fun.
You can see pictures of this if you go to our YouTube channel, The Drive Car Show. We will have some of Karl's footage.
Yeah, you can see it if you go to the Drive Car Show, and I'll have it on my Karl Brauer Cars channel too. I have a full video, a lot of fun stuff. So we're going to take a quick break now, and we're going to come back, and we're going to actually hear from the guy who helped build this Eleanor GT500 Mustang. We'll be right back on The Drive with Lauren and Karl. Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. This segment is brought to you by IC Cars. That's where I'm executive analyst, and that's where we've got all the information, not only all the car listings, but also all the advice and guidance on what's happening with the industry. We look at all the data and tell you what's going on. We're going to hear from Ray Claridge, who ran cinema studio services for 40 years, and then he's back with his team building the new Eleanor. We're going to hear from him right now. Hi, it's Karl Brauer, and I'm fortunate enough to be sitting next to Ray Claridge, who ran cinema vehicle services and provided a lot of very cool cars for a lot of very cool movies for, well, I don't know. How many decades was that, Ray?
A lot of years.
A lot of years. We'll just say a lot of years. Ray,
four decades,
so good to sit and talk to you and reminisce about kind of what you've done in this industry. So please, whatever level of detail, high level, low level, tell me what you've done prior to this project with Eleanor.
Probably one of the earlier ones that probably were pretty notable were like Fall Guy.
Okay.
And then a little later on, Dukes of Hazzard became a very big hit.
Yeah.
Same thing. It was one of those. Little funny story about that one is a friend of mine was a transportation coordinator on the show, and we were driving. We would double date sometimes. We were driving down to Orange County Raceway one night for the drags, and he says, "Hey Ray, there's a script in the back. I want you to pick it up and read it while we're driving down there." So I picked it up. I read the first 10 pages and I threw it on the couch. So he called me up a week later and he says, "Well, what do you think about the script and stuff?" I said, "You're going to make that?" They're actually going to make that? I thought you were kidding. He goes, "No." He goes, "We got to figure out what kind of cars we're going to use and everything else." And, we went back and forth, and production finally went with the Dodge Chargers. And there again, being Hollywood, not so much that they were the best car, but they were the cheapest car.
There were plenty of them around.
There were plenty of them around. We could go down the street, pick out 5 or 6 of them if we wanted, and get them. And and as it worked out for them, that was a blessing because they went through hundreds.
Yeah. What were some of the other candidates? Do you remember what the other?
Yeah, no, I remember because we owned a 66 Mustang Fastback at the time.
Okay.
Which was we raced it at local raceway out here as a street stalker. And that's what I took them to begin with.
So the Dukes of Hazzard car could have been a 66 Mustang.
Could have been a 66 Mustang.
Anything else?
It wasn't big enough.
Okay.
Then we went up to bigger cars because the concept of the show was that these kids, these two kids, this was their daily driver, but they took it to the track on the weekends and raced it.
Right.
That was supposed to be the concept. I don't know if it ever even came across.
Right.
In the script or anything else, but that was the concept of it. And the Mustang kind of got nixed because it wasn't big enough.
Okay. Yeah.
So we found them some Chevelles, which were pretty prevalent for the day. Good looking cars. They liked those, but there again, it kept coming back to a cost figure. as a lot of things.
It's funny when you think about it. It's like, why did the Charger end up? Because it was the cheapest one. It was not because it had like, and of course people love that design, it's become an iconic design, but it literally was an accounting decision.
Yeah, it was accounting, If they could have got away with a 4-door Hyundai, they would have done it. It would have been cheaper, but.
You've dealt with a lot of individuals, you said, on everywhere from the engineers and the designers to the producers, the directors, and the actors. Genuine car guy actors. Give us a few of them. I know Nicolas Cage is one, right? He's a genuine enthusiast.
Nicolas Cage is a genuine car guy actor. Paul Newman was.
Sure.
Obviously, early on in my career, I didn't get to work with him very much, but Steve McQueen obviously was. He preferred 2 wheels over 4 wheels any day he could get it.
I think a lot of people feel fortunate to have been around in this time frame. I know. I mean, I think every person thinks they live in the best time, but to have been the person who was the perfect age to be seeing Dukes of Hazzard and enthralled by it, and then still, not that long earlier, movies like Bullet, and then, accelerate through the time frame of movies like Gone in 60 Seconds. That the 1960s to the 2000s was a magical time frame for
really
cars
was.
And movies, and you were right at the center of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was great. I mean, you go through the series of Die Hard movies that we did, all the Die Hards, all the Terminator movies.
Oh, wow.
All the Lethal Weapon movies. We did almost everything for the first Fast and Furious movie. Second Fast and Furious movie we were involved in. After that, it kind of went studio-wise. It got so big that it kind of went in-house to the studio. But, like I said, just the variety of things you get to work on over the time. One day you're working on a 67 Mustang, the next day they're bringing you a submarine to paint. It's like, it was just, you never knew. When the phone rang, you answered it, and that was your next adventure.
This has been fabulous. Thank you, Ray, for sharing kind of the history of what you've been involved in, and also the opportunity to see one of your very iconic vehicles up close here and even experience driving it. I really appreciate your time.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoy the car as much as we enjoy building it.
Well, congratulations on an incredible career.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. This segment's brought to you by Car Coach Reports. Cut through the noise. This is my news channel where we get to hear what's going on in the auto industry, things that no one else is talking about. You get real car news, you get no spin. And if you want to watch my car reviews, you can see them on Car Smarts. All of that is on YouTube, or find it all on my website, Car Coach Reports, and you'll get all the information and get the facts before you buy. Okay, Karl, I recently got the opportunity to see you again in California, back to Santa Barbara, where we just drove the Palisade, but we now have driven the 2027, I can't believe we're saying 27, Kia Telluride. Big changes for the car.
Yeah, so you got the Hyundai Palisade and Kia Telluride. They're basically twin vehicles from the 2 different divisions within the Hyundai Motor Group. I've always thought it's fascinating how there's this serious rivalry, internal rivalry between Hyundai and Kia, and they hate it when you say, well, you guys are kind of the same company, because they really, and I think it's smart. I think the leadership, and I think on the board that sits over everything is like, you guys want to outdo each other? Do it, go for it. If you guys are always struggling to outdo the other version, that just means the cars are that much better because you're trying to outdo each other. So
they both improved. I like the Palisade, but the Telluride is bigger. I mean, they went a little over 2 inches longer. The off-road version has got like 9 inches of ground clearance. I mean, who's really off-roading these? Not most people. But you're getting 3 inches longer in length overall as far as between the wheels. So that meant you have a ton more cargo space and passenger room, which I think is super important.
Yeah, the 3-row segment is so competitive, Lauren. I mean, you think about all the people that are looking for a good family car and the profit margin built in on those. And Kia freely admits, Lauren, that this is their highest profit vehicle. I mean, it's their highest priced one. It's their flagship model. They make the most profit per unit. So it's a hugely important vehicle. And they could not keep them in stock. Remember we made the joke, was it Telluride and all? They couldn't.
The dealers call it that, yeah. Because every Telluride that comes in is sold. And if you haven't been in the interiors of some of these cars, spectacular. 30-inch digital screens. I know Hyundai does that too. They both have the blind spot cameras, which I think is a selling point within the whole 3-row SUV lineup. But they want to go more luxury with Kia, which I don't know. I think they're really good where they are. I mean, they really are taking over the market by storm.
Well, there's a lot of these mainstream brands that all of a sudden decided to call themselves premium brands. Mazda's kind of doing that too, right? Where they decided they're a luxury brand. And I think if you can do it right, what you're trying to do is you're trying to weave the line between being truly luxury brand pricing, which I think a lot of people shy away from, especially if it's not an actual luxury badge they're getting, and making it feel luxurious. I think if you can take a mainstream brand and still feel high value because of how much plush material and how coddling the interior feels
Quiet,
and how
the
refined the
ride.
drive. Yeah, and drive exactly refined. If you can make people feel like you're getting luxury like experiences without paying luxury prices, then that's okay. And I think that's what Kia is trying to do with this new Telluride. And the styling, I think, is so cool. The vertical headlights and taillights look really neat. The
Flush
pop
door
out
handles.
yeah. You approach the car and the door handles pop out. And then don't forget, we got two different drivetrains now. They've got the traditional 4-cylinder 2.5 liter turbo engine. It makes, I believe it was 274 horse, 311 pound-feet.
Yep.
But then you can get the 329 horsepower hybrid version that's even faster and gets better mileage. And I've always said this about hybrids. It's always like when the hybrid costs more, but you get both more performance and better fuel efficiency, the base engine with less power gives you 22 mixed MPG. The hybrid version gives you 35 mixed MPG.
And
I mean, that's a
630
massive.
miles of range. 600 miles of range. You're going to have to
Yeah.
stop to go to the bathroom before you need to fuel up.
Yeah, I know. I think in my script I wrote, or in my story for Forbes, I said you're going to hear the "Are we there yet?" are going to materialize long before the low fuel light does. So yeah, it's just a really capable vehicle, and like you said, over 9 inches of ground clearance. They let us off-road it. We were splashing through
fun.
water, going down steep hills, and all. They've got the hill descent control. They call it was it brake control, downhill brake control.
Right.
But it's the same thing as hill descent control.
Right.
Very capable. So the car is
Yes.
luxurious. It's luxurious. It looks good. It's got a plush interior, big screens. It gets
Beautiful
incredibly good
interior.
mileage, and it's priced right around 40 as a starting price, and it goes up to about 60 for the top end version. So between 40 and 60 is what you're going to pay. It's a little more expensive than the previous years, but it's also loaded with all sorts of advanced driver assist. It gets, was it like 19, 29? There was all these driver assist technologies that come pretty much.
But the blind spot cameras are a deal seller for me. I mean,
Yes.
only Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis offer it. I am shocked that no other brands offer that, because if I was buying a new 3-row SUV today, especially backing up and trying to see around things, getting in garages, the cameras are crystal clear, which I think is important. And when you look at the competitors that are out there, the Hyundai Palisade, the Ford Explorer, the Volkswagen Atlas, the Toyota Grand Highlander, the Chevy Traverse, GMC Acadia, I mean, you're looking at the Nissan Pathfinder, Honda Pilot, Dodge Durango. That's a lot of competitors. You need to have something that seals the deal for the customer.
Yeah. There's so many great choices in that category. As you're saying, there's just a lot of good choices. So to stand out and to do what Kia's done, don't forget, Kia is at record sales. Their sales are the highest they've ever been. And every year they're the highest they've ever been because they just keep growing. Like they're the 5th largest brand. They're
That's
the
huge.
5th largest. Can you imagine? I think about brands. I almost feel bad, Lauren. I think about brands like Mazda and Subaru, brands that have decades a head start on Kia, and Kia has blown past them. And of course, Genesis on the luxury side is doing the same thing.
I'm driving a Genesis G90 e-Supercharged now with the Black Edition. I'm in love.
Those are nice.
I don't need
Those
a
are nice.
full-size luxury sedan, but this does the trick. Let me tell you.
Yeah. So the Koreans are just continuing to knock it out of the park, and the Telluride did so the first time around, the first generation. They couldn't keep them in stock. And I have no reason to believe the second one that we just drove isn't going to do the same
And the warranty.
thing.
The warranty is a big deal. 10 years, 100,000 miles. No one else has it. And until they step up to that level, it's a difference between what's making them successful and others that are still trying to figure it out.
It's true. All right. Well, we're going to take a break. We will be right back on the other side with more on The Drive with Lauren and Karl.
Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. Karl and I were just at the Munich car design event. It was pretty impressive. We found a solution for those bright headlights that nobody likes. So I spoke with Greg Piersma from Gentex. They make those rear view mirrors that turn into cameras, and he's got an answer for those bright headlights. We're here at the Car Design Expo in Munich, and although they're showing some beautiful cars, there's some technology that's going to resolve a lot of problems. And so I got Craig Piersma here from Gentex. Craig, thank you for spending the time.
Certainly, Lauren. It's a pleasure.
He had such an impressive product that even though the cars are impressive, what you have is coming to market quicker than any of these designs. And this is a problem that many consumers have complained about, and it's about the bright headlights.
Yes.
So tell us about what Gentex is doing.
Sure.
Because you've been doing this product, doing all kinds of products for cars for decades.
Right. Yeah, Gentex, it's a technology company. We've been around since the 70s. Started as a commercial fire protection company, but very quickly got into automotive. But today we're in medical, aerospace, fire protection, smart home. But automotive is our bread and butter. The main product that put us on the map is the automatic dimming rear view mirror.
Oh, we've all seen that. You know, someone comes up from behind you, bright headlights, and it dims, usually on premium cars. But now it's pretty much across.
Yeah, it's on about 40% of the build globally. So there's still plenty of areas where we got to penetrate yet. But yeah, like you said, it uses 2 cameras, observes the amount of ambient light, the amount of glare behind you, darkens to eliminate that glare. Okay. But it solves a problem that you would think, okay, this problem is going to get better over time. Right. It has not.
No, it's gotten worse.
It has gotten much, much worse, primarily due to the advent of LED technology, right? So you move from halogen to LEDs. LEDs are about 300% brighter than halogens. LED technology has gotten 200% brighter in just the last decade alone.
And everyone complains. Everybody complains. The lights are so bright, I have to put my visor down, or I need sunglasses, or they look away, which is dangerous.
Yeah, we've done research with TÜV here in Germany that shows people have bad driving habits. So basically they have to squint, change body position, turn their exterior mirrors downward and outward so they're not even using them, so that the glare doesn't reflect back into their eyes. So yeah, it's a global and increasing problem. There's even, anecdotally, you look back in the States, there's a Reddit thread. I won't say it because I don't know what the audience might know, but it's F your headlights.
Right.
It's 60,000 members and growing of people that are coming together, groundswell of community, posting memes, posting video and film of and photos of themselves experiencing oncoming glare, rearward approaching glare, et cetera. So we know it is a global and increasing problem.
So in the U.S., the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration put the rule into place like 1978.
Yeah.
And fortunately, what they want is brighter lights, so they just keep making them brighter instead of changing the rules. Now, you told me some interesting information that I did not know about. Go ahead.
Well, it's interesting. And again, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. And my purpose in telling the story is not to point figures at any regulatory body. It's to say, how did we get here?
Right.
In part, we've been incentivizing brighter headlights. So the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety incorporated into their top safety pick criteria having bright headlights.
That's IIHS. You've seen those offset crash tests.
Yes. And so what you've seen over time is they have data that shows that the headlight intensity of most cars has gone up, and at the same time, the number of demerits they've given to cars that they're applying for their safety pick has gone down.
So they just keep making them brighter.
So the automaker.
Where does that end?
Yeah, exactly. The automaker, if they want to be a top safety pick, has had to put in brighter headlights. Now, there's research that says that is safer for if you're behind the wheel of a car with brighter headlights.
What about everybody else?
But everybody else, and that's why everybody's upset, because the consumer, the driver, feels like we're gaslighting them. As an industry, we're saying this is safer, don't worry about it. And they're saying, I get it. Intuitively, I understand it's safer to have good headlights, but it still bothers me. I still can't see at night, and they're angry and frustrated.
So here in Europe, they've done something, which I'm hoping that National Highway Traffic Safety Administration listens to this. Tell us what they're doing here in Europe about headlights, and then you can tell us what Gentex is doing, which is a solution to the problem.
Right. So here in Europe, there's an organization, FIA, International Automobile Federation, runs global motorsports. That's what they're most famous for.
FIA is what they're known for.
Exactly. But they also have car clubs around the globe, represent millions and millions of drivers around the globe. So here in Europe, just 2 summers ago, 2024, they released a study that showed 70-some%, 3 out of 4 drivers are dazzled every time they go out at night and driving. They're irritated by
blinded. Even in Europe, and they have laser lights here and all kinds of advanced lighting systems that we don't have in North America.
That study also showed that 75% of drivers want tighter regulations on these headlamp technologies. So the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe actually started something called Task Force Glare. So there's now a cross-functional team that's actually looking at should they change or alter those regulations here in Europe. So that's kind of interesting. The other thing is the use of adaptive drive beam has been touted as the way to avoid glare. So an adaptive drive beam theoretically has blackout zones, so it can
That's
adjust
in
the
Europe.
lighting.
We don't have that in the U.S.
No, we've changed some regulations, NHTSA has, but most automakers have decided it's still too complicated to meet the letter of the law as it's written, and so we're going to avoid putting adaptive drive beams in the U.S. But the bottom line is, you got LED headlights, you have misaligned headlights, you have LEDs are blue,
Right.
and
They're
that
so bright.
creates more glare, that bluish hue. So there's a variety of reasons that glare is an increasing problem. In the U.S., we have higher mounted headlights on trucks and SUVs. You know, just an additional reason why there's more glare than ever before.
Right. So Gentex has seen all the reports.
Yeah.
You know what every country's doing because you are a global company. And you own about, what, 85% of the market?
Well, and the auto dimming mirror technology for the auto dimming mirrors, yes, about 80, somewhere 80, 85%.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So you know there's a problem. So what
Yes.
did Gentex design? This is what really impressed me, and this is what people really need to
Yeah.
know. Tell us what you've designed.
Yeah, so here's what's coming. We also know that sun creates a lot of glare.
Sure.
And you look at some areas of the car that we've become used to as a driver, the visor.
Yes.
The visor eliminates glare, right?
Right.
But it's also a piece of cardboard that drops
Right.
down,
Yeah.
and we can't see anything.
Right.
So we've made a dimmable sun visor. So it's a visor, the moment you fold it down, it starts to darken. And so that way you can still see through it, monitor traffic, monitor street signs, traffic lights.
It doesn't block your vision.
Doesn't block your vision, but it does attenuate or block that glare. And you can adjust it, how dark, how clear you want it to be.
So it'd be based on what's coming at you, what time of day it is.
Yep.
And you use this technology comes from aircrafts, you were saying.
Yes, the same auto dimming technology we put in Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Yes, it's the same sort of auto dimming technology.
That's great. You're taking the airplane technology that helps pilots from being blinded because the sun is there.
And the passengers too.
Right. And you brought this down for the visor.
Yeah.
So there's something else, though, I really like about this. So I'll let you continue.
Yeah. So one of the things that when we're showing it to our customers for the first time, they're like, "Well, we lose the vanity mirror. What are we going to do about the vanity mirror?"
Yes.
Because it's a big, a clear piece of glass there. Well, we've integrated a switchable vanity. So with the touch of one button, that entire transparent surface becomes reflective. So now you have this huge mirror. So
that's fantastic. You can see what's in your eye or,
Right.
something in your teeth.
Right.
But I like the fact that it gives you the vanity mirror if you want it, but it's really designed to filter light. So what if we've all taken the visor down and slid it over because maybe you're driving down a north-south road and you're getting light coming in. So it also works when you turn it sideways.
Yep, it will function just as your visor does today. You can pull it down, you can move it, etc. So it does all those things automatically. Yeah, so it functions as a standard visor, whether you pulled it down or you move it to the side. The connection points, the electrical connections are all the same. So it actually could make a nice aftermarket product as well. But
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I have an older vehicle and I want this fantastic idea. I want that visor so I'm not blinded.
Yep.
Could you put that into an older vehicle?
Yeah. Theoretically, I mean, the shapes and sizes of visors doesn't change much model year to model year.
True.
So again, if we ship primarily to the automaker directly, but there's no reason it wouldn't be backwards compatible, and so it could make a nice dealer
I
install
could
product.
see Ford, GM, Honda, Toyota saying, hey, I've got an older Camry, whatever, it's bothering me, go to the dealer.
Yep.
The parts department would order it and they could install it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that could be done.
Yep. But the nice thing about this tech is obviously we designed it originally to prevent sunlight glare, but we know it will also be used for evening driving and to attenuate oncoming glare. Because we know, as we just discussed, it is a huge, huge issue.
This is a huge issue, and Gentex has it coming out in 2027 models.
2027 is when we start shipping for our first customer, and then usually once you have one customer, the dominoes start to fall. So we're working with a lot of different automakers around the globe on this product, but you should be able to start seeing it in cars by late 2027 or so.
So for dealers, look for it because it'll be on the luxury lines, the premium lines first, working its way down to that mid-trim, and for consumers, hopefully soon you'll be able to buy one over the counter, have the dealer install. You already have electrical there for the vanity mirror.
The connection's the same, electrical's the same.
I want that in my car.
Yeah.
Excellent. Gentex,
Gentex.
Craig, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren. Pleasure.
We appreciate it. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. This segment is brought to you by Issy Tire Socks. If you're slipping on ice, put on a pair of Issy Tire Socks. Just like your socks, slip them on, and they'll take away the stress. No fuss, just traction that works. It's available now on Amazon and Walmart. Issy Tire Socks, that's really Issy, I-S-S-E. And if you're thinking your weather's getting warm, Get them now for next season and you'll be prepared. Now, Karl, we've been talking about a lot of different things on this episode, but one of the things that I've noticed a huge change is when you go to the dealer lot and you're walking around and you see the window sticker, and we're used to seeing whatever miles to the gallon. Have you seen the ones that are like 164 MPGe? And you're thinking, that seems odd. What does that really mean?
Yeah, it's always weird because when you've got either a plug-in hybrid or a pure electric car, they've tried to do this calculation of what's the equivalent MPG you're getting when you have zero internal combustion going on, either as a pure electric or a plug-in hybrid that's running on its battery for 10, 20, 50 miles. And they try to tell you, oh, it's getting 80, 90, 124 miles per gallon as part of the electric car element to it. And it's like, okay, how does that work? How are we coming up with an MPG equivalent because it's an electric car? And what are they using? Because, Lauren, remember, they're trying to act like, well, if you're charging the battery and you're only using the grid instead of, oil that's been pulled out of the ground and refined, right, but then you're going X amount of miles on that charged grid, that's how much less equivalent than you would have used of oil to do it. But you and I both know it's like, yeah, where'd that energy come from to charge the battery? Because that's like everything, right? If it came from solar panels, you might be getting better than that MPGe number, really, because you're literally getting free electricity. But if it came from a coal-fired plant, or even some kind of oil-powered thing, which there's still oil-powered stuff too for the grid,
mm-hmm, right?
Then you're just transferring the CO2 production from the tailpipe to a power plant. So it always seems screwy to me. And I think you found out that maybe it actually has been screwy.
Yeah, well, you do a little research and you find out the Trump administration has rescinded that EV calculation. It was called MPGe. So the idea was to say, you as a consumer, go to look at a car and you see what the fuel economy is at MPG and the supposed equivalent of MPGe, but it's not really true. And it's actually a lie. It was put together so that car manufacturers could have some sort of buffer so they could help promote electric cars, because they were not just getting paid by the federal government to make something that they took a loss on, which makes no sense at all to me from a business standpoint. But then on the other side, it was supposed to help consumers understand that they were going to get more range. But that's not the truth, because you and I both know going 150, 200 miles wasn't going to be equivalent to something that got, if I have a Prius, it's going to get phenomenal fuel economy. It doesn't make sense. So these are the kind of numbers that got pulled away. The EPA was involved with that was Lee Zeldin, and they found these numbers were not equivalent because there is no way to actually say electricity is equal to gasoline. So that if you're comparing miles, you can say, hey, like we were talking about the Kia Telluride, 637 miles of range. Okay, but is there an electric car that goes that far? I think Lucid
and
is
if there
the
is,
closest.
What powered it to get that far? It had to get that energy. The battery had to get charged up from some source to go, whether it's a 200-mile range car or a Lucid, one of the crazy Lucids that gets 500 plus miles range.
Right.
Either way, whatever its range was, what filled its quote unquote tank, in this case, a battery, and where did that come from? And how can you say, well, that is the equivalent of this MPG when you don't know where the energy came from for that vehicle?
Right.
It just always seemed kind of screwy. And not to mention, what if you drive it really aggressively? Just like when you drive aggressively on a gas car, it's pretty obvious. It's like, well, I can calculate how many miles I went and how many gallons of gas I put in. And when I drove differently in my Demon 170 than I otherwise drove, I got a very different gas mileage figure and all. But if you drive aggressively in a Tesla or a Lucid or a Hyundai Kona electric, what was your actual MPGe for that time when you were flooring it all the time? So it never seemed realistic or based in reality.
It isn't.
And apparently when the current administration dug in, they decided it wasn't based in reality, and it's gone now. There is no more MPGe rating. Is that right, Lauren? It's gone.
That's gone. I think they may put something equivalent like range. And if you're looking at an electric car, and there's some great choices, look at range. That's your most important number, and then you can compare it. And then of course, you know what I always say, buy what works for you. Hybrids are some pretty good choices out there, and we've been reviewing quite a few of them.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, we're going to come right back after this break, and we will be talking about some Hollywood topics. We've got our Hollywood car correspondent coming up on The Drive with Lauren and Karl. Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl, where we are about to hear from our Hollywood car correspondent. But this segment is brought to you by Karl Brauer Cars. That's my YouTube channel. Check me out on YouTube and check out our channel, the Drive Car Show. Both of them are on YouTube. They've got a lot of great videos up there, and you can see us instead of just hear us. Now let's hear from Josh Hancock, our Hollywood car correspondent. Welcome back to The Drive with Lauren and Karl. And in this very special segment, we are going to be talking about some Hollywood stories because we have got the Hollywood car correspondent on right now. That is, of course, Josh Hancock, who has joined us before and always has some fun and interesting kind of insider, what's going on up in those Hollywood hills? What kind of craziness are they planning and preparing that's related to four wheels? So Josh, thank you for coming on again.
My goodness, up in the hills.
Yes.
Well, down in Malibu,
Okay.
Dick Van Dyke was presented with a replica of the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang car for his 100th birthday.
No way.
Some actor that had worked on the show spent years having this car done because, that car was partially wood and it was brass and it was really, and they showed up on his birthday and he cried.
Wow.
And his wife was like, it's been in the driveway and it's a constant stream of people coming by and taking pictures of this car and he's absolutely delighted. So how much fun is that?
That's fabulous.
That Dick Van Dyke got a Chitty Chitty Bang Bang car. I mean, and how ridiculous. The other footnote here is that Ian Fleming wrote Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
I had forgotten that. Now that you have said that, I do remember, or I did know that and had completely forgotten it, which honestly makes sense because the one thing I always do remember about Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and I was talking to my daughter in the last 2 weeks about it, for some reason it came up, is it's like two movies in one, isn't it, Josh? It is you could make an argument that it's a very bizarre movie because it starts out as hey, yay, joy, joy. We've got this cool car that's got a personality and flies and all. And then all of a sudden it's and now we're going to the dark world where everything is scary and we might die. It's such kind of a schizophrenic, there's kind of a bipolar element to the movie, but it's a cool movie.
It's not flubber. Let's just say
that's exactly. It is not flubber. That's a good one.
And I haven't thought about flubber for 100 years, but it just came to mind. How crazy is that?
Know what it is, Josh. It's Ian Fleming's version of flubber. That's what it is. There you go.
And I've done some stuff with the Ian Fleming Foundation, and their edict is to preserve vehicles and props from the show. And they own 42 vehicles from mostly cars, but also submarine, airplanes.
Good.
And
I'm glad to hear that.
They're a great organization. And of course, that show that was at the Peterson, what's it called? It's called Bond in Motion.
Yes.
Bond in Motion continues to travel around the world. Actually, they sometimes break it up and do a smaller version depending on the venue. But that's all Ian Fleming Foundation's vehicles. And it's pretty impressive that they still do it. And they are still out there acquiring stuff. And they're a nonprofit. So it's pretty great.
I just love hearing that. It's like one of those things where I don't have the money and the time to, shelter or save all the Hemi Cudas, the 71 Hemi Cudas, all 10 of them that were produced. But I like to think someone out there does, and they are.
Yeah. Another quick story, because we don't have a ton of time, is that I got a phone call, and it will remain unnamed, saying to me, well, we're thinking for Bond, the new Bond, maybe this is a whole new page to turn. This is a new actor. Maybe it's going to be a different car, and we may want to have that conversation with you.
Wow.
So, because also I think they know that Aston's not in great shape right now. They've never, they're not going to get any money out of Aston. They get it out of Jaguar Land Rover for their appearances. But immediately what came to my mind was Bentley going back in history, because that's where he started, right? And it's English. But anyway, I wanted to throw that out there. I know we're almost out of time, but we'll pick up on that in another episode.
No, that's just a good little bit of insider info that we may see a different badge on the cars that Bond drives going forward.
Could be interesting.
Wow. All right, Josh. Well, thank you
right.
again, as always, for not just coming on the show, but having great stuff when you do come on to share. And we will join us all next time on The Drive with Lauren and Karl. Thanks again.
You've been listening to The Drive, your trusted source for the latest car news, expert reviews, and real insights into the automotive world. Thanks for riding along with us today. You can check out the entire archive of every episode on our YouTube channel, The Drive with Lauren and Karl. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and join the conversation by leaving your comments. We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay safe, enjoy the ride, and we'll see you right back here on The Drive.